Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here Friday, April 11th. Right now, we're talking about the Jaguars draft strategy, their talent acquisition strategy. What type of players are they looking for? What positions might they be looking for? We're going to dive into all that here today. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. It's going to be all draft all the time from now until draft night, which is now less than 2 weeks away. Very exciting stuff. Thursday, April 24th, the NFL draft starts. You'll have round 1 that night. You'll have rounds 2 and 3 on Friday. You'll have the rest of the draft on Saturday. And again, in the first 3 rounds, the Jaguars have 4 picks. In the first 4 rounds, they have 6 picks. This draft will need to be foundational in a lot of ways, not because there isn't talent here, but because there was a massive roster churn, and there's going to continue to be roster churn as guys come up for cap cut casualty points of their contract, right? Cap casualty points of their contract. There's going to be some of those guys next year that this regime didn't sign. So this group that they bring in this draft needs to be, in my opinion, 3 or 4 guys that are ready to play right now, because there's positions of weakness right now. You need wide receiver 2. You need edge depth. You probably need a defensive tackle. You might need a cornerback outside. You might need a safety. You definitely need a safety, I think. So there's positions that the Jaguars need contributors right away. I think that they absolutely do. We're going to dive into this. First off, I wanted to talk about, we haven't really talked about it on the show, no top 30 visits for the Jaguars. And now the title top 30 visit is a bit of a misnomer. It kind of maybe makes fans think that if somebody's in there for a top 30 visit that they're going to be considered maybe, really early in the draft, but that's not necessarily what it is. And it doesn't necessarily mean that a team is bringing that player in because they love them. It might be to get more information on another player. It might be to figure out, does this player meet our standards from a culture standpoint? It might be just information gathering in some other regard, and it might be that they absolutely love the player. You do see teams regularly draft players that they bring in on top 30 visits. It's not exclusive or anything like that, but yeah, you see that. You absolutely see it. So no top 30 visits. I think, what Liam Cohen said about it is, I quote, "Yeah, I mean, I can get James Gladstone to detail that a little bit more. It's more so just, hey, we're trying to keep everything that we're doing in-house and trusting that we'll do some things possibly virtually, and that with guys that we need to have other touch points with. But ultimately, it's something that we're not going to be interested in at the moment." So to me, saying you want to keep it in-house just means you're not trying to tip your hand. You're not trying to show anybody around the league what you might be interested in doing. Because again, even if you bring in someone and it's really just kind of to figure out, does this player meet our standards culturally, and it ends up being a no, that's one thing. But if you are bringing in someone because you're interested in them, that can tip your hand. And again, every team, for the most part, that does top 30 visits, you will see a player from a top 30 visit drafted by that football team. It routinely happens. So there are different reasons for top 30 visits, but the Jaguars feel like they can keep it all in-house and not tip their hand at all. And the question around that is, or the potential criticism is, does that mean you don't get as good of a feel for these people if you're not able to meet with them in your building in person? Now, you can absolutely meet with them at the Combine and at the Senior Bowl. You can have virtuals, as they mentioned, different things, right? So, and there's different ways to figure out about that player, talk to former coaches. There's all sorts of stuff, right? So I think the Jaguars feel, James Gladstone, Liam Cohen feel, they can get the vibe on a guy, get enough information about them without the top 30 visit. And the top 30 visit, again, could potentially show their hand to an extent, right? Could give teams an idea of what they're looking for. And they don't want that. But we are trying to figure out here on the show kind of what they're looking for. And I think it goes back to James Gladstone, intangibly rich. People who elevate the ecosystem by being nothing more than themselves. That's kind of the through line from James Gladstone about the type of people he wants to bring into the building. What does that mean? I don't think it means that these guys have to be choir boys. I absolutely don't think that at all. What I think it means is it has to be people who, A, love football, and B, are willing to put the work in that's required to be the very best that they can be. And if they're able to do that, that's going to elevate the culture, elevate the ecosystem, as James Gladstone puts it. It's going to elevate the team. So you got to eat, breathe, sleep football. You got to want to be your best. You got to be willing to do the work. I think that's what intangibly rich means. I don't think it means a choir boy. I don't think it means someone who is just, lacking personality or anything like that. I think it's just all about, being all ball. That's my take on it anyways. And then you hear Liam Cohen asked, and pretty much they're going to be looking for guys that are ready to play right now. I thought T-Wig did a great job of asking that question the other day. If they're kind of placing more of an emphasis on winning now or building for the future, this is what Liam Cohen said. He said, ultimately, in this world that we're in, what have you done lately? What are you doing in the now in order to show success and to show that we're going in the right direction? So ultimately, we have 10 picks. We're going to lean on some of those guys to play early on. Ultimately, we cannot be afraid of that. We had 3 of them in Tampa last year play and have a lot of success for us. We can't be afraid of that moment and play some young players. So the goal is to get better quicker. With having a vision, so having long sustained success, that's important to us. But at the moment, we're looking to win right now. Yeah, and I'm totally good with that. I think there's a bit of a misnomer that like getting players who are ready to win right now maybe limits your ceiling. I don't think that's true at all. Or like getting somebody who's going to be good in year one doesn't equate to like long-term success. Aiden Hutchinson was viewed as, high floor, maybe lower ceiling. What's his ceiling? All pro? Right? Like the guys that come in and that are ready to play right away are generally really, really good football players their entire career. So I think you can get guys that are ready to win now while also building for the future. And I think winning right now helps you build the future. So to me, when you look at probably the first 4 rounds, again, 6 picks in the first 4 rounds, I would say the Jaguars are going to need to get 3 guys that can contribute in year one in a pretty big way. I would say one of those needs to be at wide receiver, for sure. One of those needs to be at edge because you need an edge 3. You don't really have one right now. Yeah, you have Yasir Abdullah, you have Miles Cole. Again, I don't think you really have one right now. Do you need a corner? I think you definitely need a safety that's ready to contribute. Like, yeah, you could get Andrew Wingard out there some. You have Darnell Savage. You brought in Eric Murray, so it's not like there's nobody that has experience back there. But I think if you're talking about having a really good secondary, you need another safety and another corner. But again, to me, the biggest thing is receiver and edge 3. You got to have those. Like those are some of the top non-negotiables. And then probably that interior defensive lineman. It's just weird because, Mason Smith taking a step forward late in the season. He clearly did that when you look at the tape. And then Eric Armstead kicking back inside. So it's possible that group could be a strength without adding early on. But I think build on a strength. This year, you have the opportunity to do that with a great defensive line class. You could do it at 5 overall with Mason Graham. That's the favorite for the Jaguars. But yeah, I think if you're able to go get a wide receiver Who do they have to be wide receiver 2 from the very moment they step on the field? No, but can they be like splitting wide receiver 2 duties with De'Ami Brown and by midpoint in the season really be that wide receiver 2? I think that's a realistic goal. And maybe if you do it early, I mean, they could just step on the field and be that guy right away. There's some guys that can do that. We talked about it yesterday. And again, edge 3, you got to come in and be able to get some pressure and get some sacks, get the quarterback on the ground, and you might need an edge 4 too. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. I think that the Jaguars are going to be looking for guys that are ready to play now. Not every pick probably, but I would guess the first 3-4 rounds, guys that are ready to play right now, they view that anyways, the way they view these players. So that's ready to play, intangibly rich, right? Which again, I think is people that are all ball, eat, sleep, breathe football. And again, some of these position groups that we talked about. So that'll do it here. I think that's kind of the best we can do in terms of knowing what the Jaguars draft strategy is. We can speculate on what it might be based on what the Rams have done the last couple of years, because James Gladstone has been a really, really big piece to the puzzle of what the Rams have done in the draft the last couple of years. And they valued the defensive front in a big way. I think they've valued players that they view are ready to play. And that doesn't mean that they have to be complete players, but they have to be able to step in and perform a specific role within the offense or defense, you know. I do think defensive front's going to be a big thing, but again, we just haven't seen James Gladstone operate a draft yet by himself, or not by himself, but as the lead person when it comes to the talent evaluation and the whole process. He got really close in LA. I mean, he was right there at the top when it comes to the draft, but, you know, Les Snead was still the general manager, still making the final call. But, and you know, Sean McVay heavily involved with that. And Liam Cohen's going to be heavily involved here in Jacksonville too. It's going to be fascinating to see how it plays out. But I think the non-negotiables for the Jaguars are intangibly rich, however they view that. Again, I'm interpreting that as guys who just eat, sleep, breathe football, and ready to play. Those are the two things you can definitely say. And if guys need to be ready to play, you can infer that they're going to be addressing positions where there's a pathway to play, right? Again, wide receiver, edge 3, maybe corner, maybe safety. I also think you could look at running back and tight end just because those are both very deep. I think if you're building for the long term, interior offensive line, I don't necessarily think there's an open job at interior offensive line this year, but definitely in the future. So that'll do it for the show here this morning. Really appreciate y'all tuning in, kind of trying to figure out the Jaguars draft strategy. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And if you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.